there was just weirdness after the game. J.J. Redick super defensive with the kind of question about substitutions, and then LeBron had this exchange with a reporter after the game in terms of roster needs.
Basically, from mid-January on, right when AD got injured, you guys started playing a lot of centerless basketball, and that required a lot from you and Doe and Rui, and then Vando once he got back. Just from a physical, taxing standpoint, how tough was that for the last 3.5 months to play that style, and do you feel like that caught up at all in this series?
No comment. I'll never say that because my guy AD said what he needed, and then he was gone the following week. So I got no comment.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those he's really going to say AD got traded the next week because of his comment. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy who's just parsing everything that LeBron says, guys. But there's something to the artificiality of many of the statements, which just feels super weird. It's just uncomfortable. Look, you're 40 years old. You're the NBA's all-time scoring leader. You've won how many NBA titles? Four NBA titles. Yeah, right. One in Cleveland, one in LA, two in Miami. Right, 4 NBA titles. Somebody asks you a legit question, just give them a legit answer. Why is that so hard? I don't get it. Byron, do you get it? Do you understand why he can't just answer the question?
I don't understand the reasoning. I mean, I think it's a power play. Not that he's trying to show off his power, but just to always be LeBron James, to always kind of be in that mode. I think that maybe he feels that that's an obligation instead of just being real and answering the question.
Jay Stu, can you figure it out?
If I'm Anthony Davis and or Luka Doncic and I see him say that, I can't really feel great about it, right? Because the Anthony Davis side of that is that LeBron is intimating that the reason he got sent out is because he asked for more help. That's not a good reflection on what happened, right? And it intimates that LeBron didn't know that Anthony Davis was going to be traded, which we all know was a lie, right?
Well, he's clearly joking, but it was it's just a weird place. Even giving a kind of cliche stock answer is a better answer to that. Hey, look, we had a good year. Obviously, wanted the Mark Williams trade to go through. It didn't. Got a little bit exposed. We got to get better. Everybody's got to get better. And whatever Rob thinks will help us get better, I'm all for. These answers are not that hard. Instead of trying to be funny and go hey, AD told him what he did. He got traded a week later. I don't know. It just feels. I think power play is the word. You don't deserve a real answer. You don't deserve a real answer. I'm going to save that answer for my podcast, or I'm going to save that answer, to leak it out to one of the sources of one of the networks so that people know how I feel. Just tell us what you think. It's not that hard.
And now we're going to start the yearly tradition, right, of since he's been eliminated from the playoffs and he needs to suck up the oxygen of the room, now he's going to throw this thing out here, I don't know if I'm going to play again. And so the rest of the NBA playoffs are going to be about LeBron, is he going to play again, right? Because we've been doing that for, I think, 2 years now.
There's no way he doesn't play again, right? Is there any way he doesn't play again?
I think he plays again, but what I thought was pretty jarring last night was we talked so much about the minutes that the Lakers played in the second half of game 4 in Minneapolis on Sunday. They had an extra day of rest than, it wasn't a, even if they won last night, there's no way that they win on Friday in Minneapolis in game 6. There was no way they were going to win that game.
No, the Lakers are in the same position they were in with Kobe Bryant. Just LeBron is a better player than Kobe was after the Achilles surgery, where they have him. They're basically whatever he wants to do. If he wants to keep playing, there's nothing that they can do.
Yeah,
because
correct.
they've clearly not shown hey, We're good. We're good. Even though, like, look, the transition is pretty obvious. What has to happen? You got to build a team around Luka, and to build a team around Luka, you have to have great defenders, and LeBron isn't that guy anymore.
I agree wholeheartedly with all of that. It dawned on me a little bit with the Warriors last night. You know, Steve Kerr throws in the towel pretty early, knowing what's at stake and, you know, if the game is worth going after and the long-term ramifications of playing Steph or Jimmy Butler a lot of minutes in that game, kind of just accepting the fate. It's to the point now where the Lakers, and maybe for the fact the Warriors, they're never going to sweep anybody. They're never going to, because of how competitive the West is going to be. I don't want to say that they're not going to compete in the regular season because the Lakers finished third, but they're also very close to being a 7 seed or 8 seed considering the standings that they are. Like, if you're LeBron and you look at that, like, there's not going to be an opportunity where they sweep a team and get rest throughout the playoffs. Like, I think that last night, like, when you sit back and kind of absorb everything and where your team was and where they're gassed and what you can provide, again, you don't want to have LeBron playing 40 minutes when he's 42 years old. But I do think, like, it could be a wake-up call for him of where he is physically in his career in a playoff grind. I felt like last night could be a wake-up call.
But how do you get out of that?
I don't know.
You're never going to bring LeBron James off the bench. He's never going to be your best player ever again. And yet your best player is a terrible defensive player. And he's just not – LeBron's not going to be able to be a good defensive player in the playoffs. Especially he's not now. He's not going to be a year later as he gets a year older.
Yeah, and I think that the reason I'm saying it is I think that, like, if there was a way for LeBron to be like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, or I can't do this anymore, or this was my wake-up call, that maybe that is it. Probably not. Again, with the player option for next year and 50-some million on the table, probably not going to be the case. But if there was a reason to sit back and really analyze everything, I think that this series and last night probably showed a lot.
Yeah. Weird place weird that the Lakers are back in this place. You know, back in this place. I do wonder, like, I would love, we got at some point have like a Lakers historian on, is if they were in this place with Kareem, because Kareem was playing well past his prime and, you know, at 40 years old as well. And then he retired. He had that whole retirement tour, which LeBron's got to have a retirement tour, right? Like, there's no question. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you something here real quick. I have heard today that people say, "Hey, Bryce James, in a year, will be draft eligible." Okay, I'm not saying this to be mean. Bryce James is nowhere near the prospect his brother was. Okay? His brother's been discussed a ton. Okay? Bryce he signed at Arizona. Young guys don't play unless it's, you know, Carter Bryant's the only one that played this year at Arizona that's young. That one happens. That's a Giannis sort of move. But he's going to have a retirement tour. He's absolutely going to have a retirement.